Saturday evening, we arrested Patrick Xavier Brown, 33 years old. He was charged with the murder of Takeoff.
It's been a month since the tragic and untimely death of superstar rapper Takeoff, who was murdered in a post-Dice game argument that spun wildly out of control that he wasn't even involved in. Now the police are saying that they have arrested the murderer and have begun to put the pieces together about exactly what happened that night in Houston. And we'll get into all of that because it's crazy what exactly transpired.
It's revealed that Clark was allegedly caught shooting his gun on camera while holding a wine bottle, and he was accused of having plans to leave the country.
And we also will be diving into who is the man that allegedly killed Takeoff, and was it a freak accident in a spontaneous shootout or something else much more premeditated? I want to give you a trigger warning because we will be diving into a very sensitive topic with some very gruesome details that we now have regarding the murder of Takeoff and the man that the police are claiming pulled the trigger that ended his life. You know, the popular DJ who happened to have murdered someone before, but we'll get into that in just a second. First, I am Joe Stone, and this is the Church of Joe Stone podcast, where cool comes to pray, you come to stay, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss another one coming your way, where we take the most shocking, provocative, and entertaining news and take it to church. A month after the death of American rapper and one-third the member of the trio Rap the Migos, Takeoff's suspected killer has been identified and arrested.
And I'm not bragging, but I send this message to our criminals. We're gonna come and get you. We come and get you professionally, but we come in force with everything that we have.
On November 1st, Takeoff and Quavo attended a private party at a bowling alley and pool hall, 810 Billiards and Bowling, where a high-stakes dice game took place. These are guys rolling dice for sometimes tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, exotic cars, and even chains. And sometimes these games turn deadly. But fast forward, and at 2:34 a.m. Tuesday morning, police received a 911 call reporting shots being fired at the super exclusive event. On arrival to the scene, police officers found Takeoff dead on the third floor of the complex at the front doors to the event space. Quickly following that, cell phone footage and videos start flooding the internet, and then the internet detectives take over, claiming this guy's the shooter, this guy set him up, this guy did whatever. But the actual police were now on the hunt to figure out exactly who took the life of the rapper and what happened in between them arriving and that 2 a.m. 911 call. Now, the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office stated that Takeoff died from penetrating gunshot wounds to the back of the head and to his back. And now, while police are saying they now have the guy responsible, this is not the first person that was arrested in connection to this case. It was actually 22-year-old rapper Cameron Joshua, who the internet thought was guilty and tried to paint him as the shooter because he was at the scene and caught on camera. But police say that he was only arrested and charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon on November 22nd. And his lawyer made it crystal clear that he had nothing to do with the shooting and the police had not picked him up because of that.
Cameron Joshua did not shoot Takeoff.
They probably needed to arrest him because of him holding a gun and then wanted to use that to squeeze it for information. Hence the reason why some people believe that he may be snitching. Hence another reason why it probably wasn't a good idea to make his ID public. But anyway, according to the Houston Police Department, they now have the murderer, a 33-year-old Patrick Xavier Clark, who they arrested on the east side of Houston while they say he was preparing to flee the country. The HPD gang division arrested Patrick in a traffic stop on December 1st. He had two guns on him, one a pistol and a rifle, and the handgun they found on him was not the same one used in the shooting. From what I understand, that has not been recovered yet, which could affect the case. Patrick, also known as DJ Pat, is a very popular Houston DJ, and I'm from Houston, and I'm gonna be honest with you, when this story broke and people started saying that he was the guy that the police had arrested, literally the entire city posted, I saw on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, from everybody, was saying that there was no way this could be the guy because he's not like that. But HPD seems to think so because they charged him with the murder. We do know he has shot someone before though. I know Crazy, the guy who was being accused of shooting Takeoff, has shot another guy before, but according to our reports, that was in self-defense. Apparently, back in 2018, Patrick was a person of interest and investigated for a fatal club shooting in a situation where two men were arguing in Club 5608. One ended up getting pepper sprayed by security. He then went to his car to grab his gun, where he ended up opening fire at the club. Apparently, the DJ Pat, and the security officer fired back. The man died at the scene. Patrick fled the scene, but returned shortly after and cooperated with the police on the specifics of what happened that night. And they took the case in front of a grand jury. And apparently, like I said, it ended up being just straight up and down self-defense. Now, what does this say about this Takeoff case? I don't know, not much. Like I said, that was pretty straight up and down self-defense. Now, maybe this would end up having elements to it because there was another shooter that day. There was another man that opened fire. Maybe if he was trying to defend himself and Takeoff got in the way, that would be a lesser charge or a different charge. We'll see. But going back to the arrest and Patrick trying to flee, before Takeoff's death, Patrick had applied for an expedited passport for a flight to Mexico. But prior to his arrest, Patrick not only received the passport, but was found to be in possession of a large sum of money as well.
Patrick Clark was seen on camera firing a gun the night of the murder outside the downtown bowling alley.
Now, I spoke to people close to Patrick, and they're saying that this large sum of money was not even over $2,000, so I don't think he was trying to leave the country with $2,000 in his pocket. And even his lawyer came out to say that the police were playing a media game and that Patrick was not trying to flee at all, had even canceled the trip, and the trip was booked before Takeoff's death. Patrick's lawyer, Letitia Quinons, also is trying to get the judge to help them pay for a private detective so that Patrick can prove his innocence and fight his case. The family also even started a GoFundMe, which outraged some people, but everybody is entitled to their defense, and if people want to donate to him, I mean, that's their business. But police claim they have video surveillance footage as well as cell phone footage showing DJ Pat firing a gun while holding a wine bottle, with the fingerprints from the bottle and his location in the video, as well as where Takeoff got hit. They say they have been able to narrow down the shooter to being DJ Pat, who allegedly opened fire along with another person at the party. They're also saying that at this point, it was a complete freak occurrence and that Takeoff was a complete innocent bystander that got hit in the crossfire, that this was not premeditated and DJ Pat did not have plans on taking Takeoff's life that night. But we will see how all of this plays out. Patrick's bond is set at $2 million. They're trying to get it lowered, saying that that is too high and that it violates his constitutional rights. So there will be another hearing to try to get the bond lowered. We will see how that plays out. But right now, that is all the information we have. The police are saying that DJ Pat is the one who killed Takeoff. DJ Pat, as far as I can tell, is going to be pleading not guilty, at least at this moment. But let's dive into the comments because we know the streets have had a lot to say and have a lot to say in regards to this entire thing. So let's dive in. Surveillance video at the complex gave him up. There were cameras at every angle, but this snitch shit is a huge problem. Bet if it was your family, you want a witness to come forward. People who witnessed this and refuse to not step forward are cowards. That is a huge problem that the police were saying that they had. There were 30 plus individuals there and pretty much nobody came forward. Actually, nobody came forward that night. They have literally had to hunt people down and even said at the press conference where they announced all the new information that they will be hunting more people down and to come forward because if you don't, they will confine you. Innocent until proven guilty. I know, but I really hope they find all the answers and to provide some sort of closure to Takeoff's family and close friends, RIP. And again, I've seen this a lot as well. A lot of people are saying that they're gonna wait for all the facts to come out because it is a messy situation. There were a lot of people there. We are still learning the facts and I want to see and they want to see what the police actually have. If you're from Houston, you know how things run around here. This isn't the killer, but the ones that actually did it won't face justice because of their ties with upper law enforcement. Shaking my head. Well, I'm from Houston and I do understand what they're talking about. There have been a lot of conspiracy theories and there may be some truth to the matter that some other people were involved and those people may not face any repercussions. Am I saying that that is what's happening in this particular situation? No, but I do get what they're saying and there have been a lot of conspiracy theories regarding what happened in this case, but we're gonna leave that up to the internet. We just stick to the facts here in the Church of Joe Stone. Now, watch Takeoff last video. His death was planned. Everything happens in his last music video. Like all artists, they're all in on it. That's why you shouldn't sell your soul. I don't think Takeoff sold his soul, guys. But of course, there's always gonna be that one guy, one guy who takes hip hop a little too seriously, who thinks people sacrifice each other for record deals. This is extremely reckless and messy of them to have the other guy attached to the murder when he's not being charged or had anything to do with it. It's setting him up to make it known he either snitched or two, murdered or shot Takeoff as well. That's a very good point. I think it was very reckless for them to put out Cameron's name and face knowing that he did not shoot Takeoff. That put him in a weird position and some people will never get the information that he wasn't the shooter, but from now on, his face will be attached to it. It's very dangerous and that is the kind of thing that gets people hurt. I'm still baffled. Like, what are you shooting for? Nobody was fighting and the argument wasn't deep. Seems like a setup. I wouldn't be surprised if this wasn't even the real killer. People aren't even sure if the guy who they picked up is the killer. And again, I don't know if anybody will feel comfortable until we get more information about exactly what happened and see some of the evidence that the police are saying that they have. And this also goes to show you how people in Houston or from Houston feel about the law enforcement there if they don't think that it has any type of integrity and would allow this to happen. But thank you for tuning in. I am Joe Stone. This is the Church of Joe Stone podcast.